Is the hero's journey dead? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Creative Table. I'm Eli, Andy, Jeremiah. We are here to discuss that very question and kind of take a look at and dissect like what happened to the hero's journey over the past 10 years or so in movies. Because the other day we were talking and we noticed a very interesting trend, which is kind of concerning. If we're being honest, it's a version of the hero's journey that isn't anymore, and it plays into the very like philosophical writing practices that have held film together for generations at this point. So, Jeremiah, why don't you like kind of talk about what that is, or what we were talking about? Going into this,
I mean, even before George Lucas made it popular, right? You know, Hero with 1,000 Faces and like that whole like he brought in like Luke Skywalker and that whole story, which just perfectly illustrates it, right? Movies and stories have kind of just been a part of, you know, that's just kind of worked, right?
Yeah.
You know, you've got you know, I don't know what it's all like 8 steps or 12 steps or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, a character starting out going, you know, getting the call to adventure, refusing the call, then, you know, heading out into the world.
Yeah, and then they get a guide, and then there's a sacrifice along the way, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, which, you know, like looking at Star Wars, the perfect example being like, you know, Ben Kenobi is the mentor, and the refusal is like, I can't go to, you know, whatever. I got to stay here, and you know, my uncle needs me, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's but it's been a part of storytelling for years, forever. You know, even, you know, you go back to the Bible, and there's, you know, elements of that you can map on it. You know, as a Christian, I think story. You know, we resonate with story and that kind of story because God is the greatest storyteller, right?
Yeah.
So most of what Jesus did was tell stories.
Right? So it's sort of mapped onto our hearts to resonate with this kind of storytelling, and so to that's why films have just been so impactful over the last, you know, 100 years. Good Lord, the first features were in the early 1900s, so like we're past 100 years.
Around.
But yeah, so it's sad that, you know, it's not working as well because we're diverting from that traditional storytelling that resonates with our souls, really.
Yeah. So just to be clear, like this isn't like a knock on like you have to stick to the formula that has always worked.
Absolutely.
And you have to. It's that they're driving away from the formula now. The formula of the hero's journey in such a way that it like breaks the logic of what makes movies work.
Well, and how life works.
Yeah, and how life works in general, and it's a great example of something doing it well is Breaking Bad. I would say it's the total opposite of the hero's journey in a lot of ways. But it plays within the structure.
In it, yeah.
Yeah, it still works within it. It doesn't like take pieces out and Frankenstein others in to accommodate for it. So just to set us up here, I'm going to recap the hero's journey really quick.
Cool.
For those watching, and then we'll get into what we mean when we say that this new quote unquote hero's journey, which we're calling the anti-hero's journey, not a journey about anti-heroes, but antithetical to the hero's journey.
Yes.
What this new framework has kind of brought in.
Cool.
So the hero's journey is a very simple 8 steps. It's often like graphically represented in a circle. You start with the hero's incomplete self. Hero begins in an ordinary world. Something is off within themselves. Okay. So they may have, it's always a flaw. They may have unaddressed like arrogance or cowardice or selfishness, immaturity, what have you. Anything that is prohibiting them from being a better person. Step 2 is you give them a call they cannot safely ignore. This is your Star Wars, where Luke is given the call, your father was a Jedi Knight
Mhm.
from Ben Kenobi.
Or the other perfect hero's journey film, Tommy Boy. Not even joking.
No,
Yeah.
I totally
Yeah,
agree.
dude.
Totally agree.
Tommy had a calling he could not
Mhm.
ignore when his dad died.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's essentially the story saying you cannot stay who you are or where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that can manifest in like 1,000 directions. It could be a death, a message,
Mhm.
a crisis.
Which overlays with the 3-act journey, a 3-act story of the
Yes.
inciting incident, right?
Yeah, all of that. Step 3 is they then cross a threshold into the world, into the new world with new rules. So that's Luke taking off from Tatooine, and that's Tommy Boy going
Setting out on the road trip.
setting out on the road.
Sails. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be fantasy. It can be whatever. But what matters is that the hero's old view of the world is no
Mhm.
longer tenable, or it no longer makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Step 4 is the mentor comes in, kind of in tandem with the enemy, or the antagonist, and they pull the hero in the opposite direction. The mentor is not just like an advice giver. This is what you should do. They embody or teach the truth that the hero must eventually accept about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're a lifeline in a sense that if the hero ignores them, he fails.
Yes.
It's not just like a feel-good self-help book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And especially at this stage, the hero will usually turn down the mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Because they aren't ready to accept that
Right.
yet. The enemy, on the other hand, is not just a physical obstacle. He represents the hero's flaw and oftentimes represents the corrupt endpoint of that flaw. So like what the hero could become if he stays the way he is. Step 5, the symbolic death and rebirth of the hero. So this is your use the Force, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy Boy, what was it?
It's got to be when he figures out how to order chicken tenders at the restaurant and he talks the waitress into starting up the kitchen.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to click for him.
Yeah, it starts to click for him.
Little deal, and I'm going to bash this deal, and the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of when he cracks, right? And he
But the
finds
point
his
of this
motive.
is like it's where the old self of the hero fails,
Yeah.
and he's forced to confront his flaws.
Yeah.
And then we have step 6. It appears I'm missing a step in here. This is 7th step, but I'm sure it's pretty much getting the point across. But step 6, make the reward internal before it is external. The actual external climactic resolution is rarely the object. So like the Death Star's destruction matters, but what really makes it count is Luke being able to use the Force and becoming that version of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And before Tommy Boy, dude, I'm sorry, just bringing
no,
it all back to Tommy
I
Boy.
know.
I just rewatched it not long ago. It's fresh, but
Mm-hmm.
he gets to Chicago to go talk to Zelensky, and he gets kicked out, and he's sitting on the bench, and that's when Spade's like, "Hey, your dad will be proud, and you made a friend."
Mm-hmm.
So he had that internal win
Yeah.
right before the girlfriend pulls up with
Yeah.
the proof of the scam, right? So,
Yeah.
and they win.
And even better is when the external victory expresses the internal change.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then lastly, they return with the prize, return home with the prize. And it proves that the journey mattered, and the hero brings back, healing, wisdom, freedom, what have you,
Contract
to
for
his
500,000 brake pads.
to his old world.
Nice gold medals. Although, do you guys feel like Chewbacca was cheated?
He was
He didn't
kind
get a freaking
of
medal.
he was kind of cheated out of one.
He's
Yeah.
a co-pilot, but come on.
Well, Chewbacca didn't go on the hero's journey, so.
But dude, Goose and Maverick were riding in the same airplane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he? I guess he's Goose in this, but no, Han's Goose. Han is Goose in this instance.
We all know what happened to Goose.
Yeah,
Didn't
we do.
At least Chewbacca didn't get ejected into space. Okay, keep going.
Anyway.
Sorry, I'm just,
I only saw the new Star Wars trilogy once, but like, did he get the medal at the end. I feel like the medal showed back up at the end of one of them.
It might
Oh,
have.
it might have.
It doesn't matter. Why did I
No.
bring that up? Speaking of the anti-hero's journey,
We'll talk more about that soon.
Yeah.
Rey Skywalker.
But so Star Wars is a great example of the hero's journey. So is Tommy Boy. Some other examples that I found, Groundhog Day
Mm-hmm.
is a great one.
It is a great one.
Lion King is a great one. Iron Man, Peep the Helmet, is a
Mhm.
great one. So is Finding Nemo. And then I pulled a TV one, which I think is Avatar and the Last Airbender,
Yeah.
the original animated show.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. Now we get on to the anti-hero's journey,
Yes.
which in researching this was extremely concerning how many of the examples that I found that were kids movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, because you'll see why it's so corrupt at its center in a second, when we really dive in and go into it. It's so, I don't even know
It's
the word
subversive.
for it. It's so subversive,
Yeah.
but not just from a storytelling perspective, like, oh, it's a subversive
No,
story.
there's
It's-
something behind it.
yeah, there's something behind
Right.
it. Yeah. So I guess the bottom line of the hero's journey is that if you could if I could sum it up in one sentence, I would say the hero's journey says I am wrong about myself and or the world, and I must be remade.
Mhm.
The anti-hero's journey says the world is wrong about me and it must be remade.
Mm.
So you might have gotten a hint of like what the anti-hero's journey means from the Star Wars sequel trilogy mention, because that is really kind of emblematic of it.
Yep.
Do you want to kind of go through some examples first, or do you want to dive into like the framework behind it and then examples
Let's
after?
give some examples so we have
some context.
context.
Okay, so let's see here. So I mean, let's just start off with the easy pickings. Rey Skywalker.
Rey Skywalker.
Oh dear.
And go, Jonathan. Jeremiah.
Yeah.
So, that's
Jonathan.
Cut.
Out of the room.
Cut. And go, Jeremiah.
Yeah. Well, so Rey Skywalker did not have to go through the struggles that Luke did to learn. He spent the entire first movie doing nothing but, he did nothing using the Force except the very end, right?
Yeah.
But Rey, amazing lightsaber wielder, can use the Force. Also, like that whole.
She can fly the Millennium
She can
Falcon.
fly, all the stuff she can do. Super talented. Then, obviously the second one, she's like taking down,
Yeah. Doing
everybody.
nuts.
Yeah.
Which in the second one, Luke is just like kind of okay at wielding a lightsaber,
Right.
and then he gets his ass beat by Darth Vader.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't see him as an actual Jedi until
Right.
Return of the Jedi.
And even Return of the Jedi, it's not the most amazing fight. He really just gives up because
Yeah.
he's like, I'm not going to fight my own father, So he doesn't really have any of the skills that this girl has. And she did not win any of them, did not earn any of them.
Yeah, it's just she's that talented.
She's just that talented.
It's far more about her
believing in herself.
Yeah, her arc is like all just identity revelation.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I? Why am I powerful?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I belong?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it streams at a root from, I think entertainment is downstream from culture, and culture has been completely upended with social media.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have this thing. If you Google the phrase, if you've never heard it, main character syndrome, you'll find videos of the guy in the back of the plane getting up and running and demanding to be the first one off the plane. It's like the world revolves around me because I'm self-important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that translates down to how we start telling stories.
Mhm.
People making these stories are humans. They live in the same world. And those corrupted views of themselves and the way society functions, and it translates into the story, and nobody wants to be told they're wrong. Nobody wants to
Mhm.
get corrected. And I think you're
Yeah.
seeing that. And
Yeah.
that, to your point about the kids' movies and the kids'
Right.
shows, That's where they start. They indoctrinate the children first to change culture.
Yep.
Well, the whole phrase, I have to live my truth. It's like, that's these characters just got to believe in the truth about me. And then, that's.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So some other example of these, count how many of these are movies targeted towards children. Captain Marvel.
I don't know who that was targeted
big
for,
one.
to be honest. But
That's
yes,
true.
I get your
That's true.
point.
Mulan 2020, the remake,
Yeah, gosh.
was like that in comparison to the 98 version.
Mm.
Just like could not be more different.
Yeah.
Moana is like this to a bit of a lesser extent.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, I would say. Two more obscure recent Disney animated movies, Wish and Raya and the Last Dragon.
Did anybody see those?
No.
No, both like COVID era
Yeah.
ish and just straight to Disney Plus.
Mhm.
Nobody ever saw them, but both of them are like that. And then Encanto. I don't know if you ever saw that. I watched it once and
Good music. Terrible stories.
jeez. And then last but not least, I threw on She-Hulk because why not? I needed a TV show.
Yeah.
That was the one that came to mind.
Didn't we bring that up in a recent podcast? I thought we outlawed She-Hulk for
We need to.
We should.
It's
The
the curse
show
jar.
that shall not be named.
Yeah.
Knock $5 off Eli's paycheck for that.
Yes.
Mm.
Sorry.
That's right. But all of these, the hero never undergoes a transformation. It is all about identity. Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
How the world is always misunderstanding me.
Mm-hmm.
How do I make the world understand me?
Yeah, it's a needle to thread too, because I think you can have, and we're going to talk about some good examples of this, but you can have a hero that's like, I'm right, you're all wrong, the world needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
And the world changes by the end of the film, but it wasn't subversive and it wasn't wrong-headed. It was idealistic and it was correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think it's how the hero responds to the world changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to jump ahead of you, but I could A/B some examples of that, because I mean,
No, yeah.
like, okay, let me just throw, like, Ted Lasso is a show that has to me, that's just like rock solid. Like, he doesn't change from his fundamental principle and his value of like treating people right to bring
Mhm.
the best out of them,
Yeah.
believe in the best, but he's sympathetic to the world as he's changing it. Whereas like the others that we mentioned that aren't, like, there's just a callousness or a coldness. They're not connecting to the world that they're changing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel. I don't know. I've never articulated it before necessarily.
Yeah. So maybe that, like, the bones of that will get clearer when we go through the
yeah,
anti-hero.
That would require the hero to have any sort of care about someone outside of themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Because the main through line, when I was putting this together, the main thing I was saying was like, holy crap, this is like so narcissistic at
Uh-huh.
its core.
Yeah.
It's actually unbelievable. So let's get into it real
Let's do
quick. Just like the hero's journey had a circle of 7 or 8 points. I put 7 somehow and missed the 8th, but so we have a circle of 8 points here. Number 1, the already special self. The protagonist begins with
Yes.
no serious moral flaw. Their flaw, quote unquote, is that they may be misunderstood or excluded or insecure.
That's
or
not a flaw with
it's
them.
not a flaw with them though.
It's the excuse. It's a victimhood.
Yes, it's
I'm
the
a victim
excuse.
of the situation, the scenario, the office,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
the aliens hate me, whatever the theme is, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Or like Jeremiah's head's about to explode. He's like, I'm so frustrated by this.
Number 2, you have the oppressive ordinary world, which is not a place that reveals the hero's flaw, but instead it's the world that's wrong. And it's always the society that they're living in that fails to recognize them or limits them or misunderstands them or fears them or suppresses them.
Mhm.
All the things.
We really should just be playing the trailer for Hexed.
We we should.
This is like,
Yeah.
yep.
Step by step. Yep. The call to self-expression is 3rd. The call to adventure does not demand moral change like the hero's journey does. No, it's the protagonist is not getting called to become better. The protagonist is being called to become more themselves, like the true version of themselves.
Yep.
And fourth, you have
Yeah.
the false obstacle, which more often than not, there might be exceptions to this, but what I felt it has been historically is restraint as the false obstacle.
You're holding me back.
You're holding me
all
back.
my
You're not
greatness.
ready. You
Yeah.
need training. And the story always frames these warnings as like fear and oppression and envy or prejudice or what have you,
Which doesn't,
or outdated thinking.
and it never feels like, it never feels like truly earned. Like if the one that comes to mind is in Captain Marvel, and like
Mhm.
Jude Law keeps telling her, "Well, you're not ready." Well, why? She like this just feels very like, well, it's got some oppressive male has to be telling her you're not ready.
Yes.
It's like, well, she's doing pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
in the real world, it doesn't.
think she's all
I
right.
think she's okay.
Sounds like the writer just needs a
yeah,
Needs a
needs to
scapegoat.
Uh-huh.
stretch out the runtime a little bit too.
exactly.
It's a great point.
Yeah. In real historic stories, though, the restraint is like oftentimes morally necessary. Back to Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
Yoda tells Luke he's not ready,
Mm-hmm.
and lo and behold, he was not ready.
Things got way worse.
But it's
Yeah.
but in stories like that, sorry, what did you just mention?
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Thank you. In stories like Captain Marvel, the restraint is always coded as illegitimate,
Mhm.
or you're holding me back
Mhm.
from my rightful
Right.
place. Number 5, the mentor figure is severely weakened, and it always goes in one of two ways. The mentor is always an affirmer, like
A yes man.
your job is to just tell the protagonist to believe in themselves, or they become an obstacle, and their caution kind of just exists to be rejected. Go back to Jude Law.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, they become the villain.
Yeah, or they become the
They
villain.
were never trustworthy anyway at that point. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Has there been in this kind of movie, a successful mentor that was actually trustworthy, actually
and
helped them?
actually gave, because there's nothing
they
to
can
help
learn.
them with. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So it's kind
why
of a
Luke Skywalker
catch-22
Had
for them.
nothing to do in that second movie.
That's right.
Well,
He
you
knew
remember
everything.
when Ray's like, "Oh, I know how to jumpstart the Falcon. You got to replace the diopter thingamajig next to the wobbling rod, or something." And Han's like, "Wow, how'd you know?" Or he was impressed, like,
Yeah.
like she's never been on this ship in her life. How
Yeah.
did she know?"
Yeah.
So yeah, he could have been a mentor to her, a
Mhm.
father figure to her.
No, she had nothing to learn.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I still contend Daisy Ridley herself as an actor, she gets a lot of hate because of her
Yeah.
character. I actually kind of like her as an actor. I've seen her other things.
Yeah,
I'm like,
she's all right.
she didn't bother me as Ray. It was just the character
Yeah,
Ray.
it just was a
But she kind of caught the same crap that the kid that played Anakin caught.
Yeah.
Man. Dude, that,
wasn't his fault.
Oh, yeah.
that poor kid got bullied for decades, man.
Uh-huh.
Ugh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
rough.
Number 6, the villain is not, it doesn't have nearly the depth that it does in the hero's journey.
Mm-mm.
Well, because there's no stakes, right? In a sense, or it reduces the real stakes.
Yeah.
Of the
Yeah.
heart. Stakes of the Heart sounds like a bad song
Right.
from the 80s.
Yeah. Or more,
Stakes of the Heart.
More
Not a bad song
specifically-
from the 80s, a good song.
that's right.
If Poison recorded
Pull
it.
up Suno.
I would say more specifically, the villain is always the power, the oppressive power.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's always the system or the
Mhm.
ideology or the institution that oppresses the hero.
Yeah.
Um,
Or it's like Tafiti in Moana. And they got to return the heart. So this big scary monster, it just needed its heart back. And
Aw,
it's
all
like,
right.
It's okay.
Yeah, that goes back to what you were saying. Is like there's not as many stakes because it can't. It's not the hero taken to their conclusion if they don't change a thing about themselves because there's nothing to change about themselves.
Mhm.
the selfish hero faces someone who, consumes others, but you can't do that if the hero isn't selfish.
Yeah.
Number 7, the death and rebirth ordeal is it's more self-doubt centered. It's more just a moment where our perfect hero can go, am I actually special? Maybe I'm just ordinary. No, I was special.
And then they look in
Let's
the mirror.
come out victorious
Yeah.
on the other
They
side.
say, I'm good enough.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm smart enough. Doggone it, I'm going to beat that villain.
that's
Well,
right.
They are their own mentor, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
they don't need Obi-Wan to say, use the Force, Luke.
Yeah.
It's like, they just have to kind of look, like you
Yeah.
said, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
I am pretty cool.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know how you can look at that and say it's anywhere near as powerful to the arrogant hero being humbled or the selfish hero
Oh,
having
yeah.
to sacrifice. Yeah.
Like
that kind of thing is
This makes me think
far
of,
more profound.
so much more profound.
this makes me think of that. Sorry, $5 off my paycheck. The She-Hulk scene where
Dang it.
she's talking to Hulk. Bruce Banner?
Yeah.
And she's like, "You've never had to deal with the stuff I deal. I've had to walk down the street and get catcalled by
Mhm.
construction workers, and things that aren't good." But he should have just shut her up and said, "I've had to deal with killing people and almost hurting my friends, and I've
Yeah.
had his state, the things he'd been through as his character,
So much worse.
Yeah.
massively
Yeah.
worse."
He just sat there and took it.
He
Yeah.
sat there and took it because hers were more valid than his
Yes.
in her world.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
It's yeah. Number 8, the return to the old world, so to speak, is more so just about recognition of the hero,
Mhm.
of their new potential, I guess. The protagonist finally unlocks the power and accepts the identity or what have you. And then the world adjusts around them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's the new harmony is not a harmony at all. It's just
It's more of a submission in a sense. It's a
Yeah.
reverse submission.
yeah.
Like,
The-
you will affirm me.
The family accepts them. The system reforms.
Right.
Mhm.
It's never about the hero coming back, having changed and
Mhm.
making their world better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you have it. And like I said, I go through that and I'm like, holy narcissism, dude.
Yeah. Oh, it's narcissism at the core.
It's
yeah.
ridiculous.
Mhm.
Now, we did mention one of them in Ted Lasso. There
Yeah,
are
man.
some examples of movies and TV that the hero doesn't really change a core trait about themselves,
Mhm.
but and the world around them changes.
Right.
That and those movies and TV shows are still good. Ted Lasso was one of them.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso is great like that. And granted, Ted does shift his perspective here and there from time to time,
Oh.
but he never compromises on his optimism or his just believe and be friends and friendly with everybody
Yeah.
and all of that stuff.
But something's percolating in my brain now. The differentiator here. I'll throw this to you guys.
Okay.
So Luke was not able to accomplish his mission without that growth. Ted Lasso, he always had in him what to do. He just had to push through to do it.
Mhm.
He didn't have to learn. He didn't have to go learn to be positive and believe and all. So it's a starting point for your character in a sense.
Yeah.
But he didn't have to. There wasn't something he had to obtain to do it. He just had to endure, and that kind of aligns with your next one, which was what in the list.
What else did I put on the list?
Aaron Brockovich,
Yes.
right? She just had stick to itiveness to pursue
Mhm.
the truth and to
Mhm.
get the change. It's not like she had to learn how to be stick to itive. I don't know. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. She didn't have to learn to be determined. It was just she was very tested along the way.
What's an keep going.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know. Push back if you guys are feeling.
No,
something.
no.
I'm
I-
not sure if that's right.
So Ted Lasso, well, it's a TV show. So in TV shows,
Yeah.
characters need to stay sort of their character, you know, and they do grow over time, but like
that is true.
they don't grow as much.
Not to
Maybe over
mention-
5 seasons, like Breaking Bad, you know, Walt really
Yeah.
grew in
and
the
Jesse,
wrong way.
and Jesse grew inversely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were like,
yeah. It was, yeah.
yeah,
But it is interesting, Ted Lasso. You know, in the first season, I don't think he dealt with the panic attacks, right? I feel like those were introduced in the second season.
yeah.
And I think as writers, they were like,
he needs a flaw.
he needs something to deal
Yeah.
with, right? You know, he did deal with his wife. Like that was the most one of the most interesting things about him was that here's this
yes.
incredibly positive, uplifting guy, and he couldn't keep his marriage together, and like he loved this woman so much, and she
Yeah.
just didn't love him back, and it was like that was so heartbreaking that
that-
he couldn't use his own superpower in that situation.
That's what makes the pilot so good, because the
Yeah.
entire first episode is you getting to know him and the soccer
Mhm.
team and like this new situation. And then the end of the episode, they hit you with that.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy crap, I really care about this character
Uh-huh,
now.
uh-huh.
That's an interesting perspective on it, though, because when I watched it, I thought, what is like, assuming Ted is consistent through his life,
Mhm.
I was like, what is wrong with this woman? She's got the
Yeah, I
husband
mean,
every
I
woman would
totally agree
want.
with that. Yeah, that's the way I viewed it, but in like storytelling.
But it's a
aspect.
beautiful flaw
Yeah.
in a character
yeah.
that, I
And
mean,
it's, you know, he's
the cobbler's son has no shoes in like
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you hear about like missionaries and preachers' kids, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, like it's a real thing, you know,
Yeah.
you and, you know, even Mr. Rogers, you know, he talks about how he had an anger problem and he would yell at his kids, and it's like, not Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's got flaws, you know,
Yeah.
except for the mostly
except
women
for
in these.
Ray Skywalker. Yeah. Another example that I pulled was 12 Angry Men is one of these. Juror number 8, Henry Fonda.
Okay.
Fonda?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a classic transformation arc. He's pretty consistent in like
Mhm.
reasonable doubt and procedure and
Mhm.
patience and all of this stuff. And like his perspective might shift slightly
Yeah.
because of what the other jurors say, but like
Mhm.
he remains a pretty like fixed point throughout the movie, which is like counter to what you might normally see.
Mhm.
But that is kind of an outlier in and of itself because it's a one-room movie in a
Yeah.
real 90 minutes or so.
But he's kind of like I mean, you know, Marty McFly in the first Back to the Future. He doesn't really change. He's a change bringer. He's bringing, you know, change to the world that he's, you know, a part of. But it's interesting that, you know, that is definitely, and I think you could probably drill down and find some flaws and things like that. But, you know,
Yeah.
and that's kind of why in Back to the Future 2 and 3, they gave him the nobody calls me chicken, because he
was
needed.
so terrible and forced. I hated
It was-
that.
You know, as a 9-year-old, I loved it, and I still kind of like it. But it was definitely like, this is the screenwriter solving a problem.
Yeah.
It felt off to me when I saw it. I was like, where did
My favorite version of this, I think, or the favorite example that I found is Mary Poppins.
Okay.
Mary
Yeah.
Poppins does not change.
Yep.
She arrives
Mhm.
like almost like a mythical.
she's
being.
almost a Christ figure in a sense. 'Cause
Yeah.
she's perfect in
Yeah.
every way.
Right.
And the world.
But she's not, you know, she's not really the main character. The dad's the main character. Right?
Correct. Yeah. She's the mirror that
Yeah.
reflects the
Yep.
throughout the whole
Which
movie.
you could say George McFly is probably the main character in Back to the Future.
Yeah, you could say that.
That's
In the smaller movie.
yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Oh yeah. Outside of the trilogy.
Yeah.
Where my
Um,
mind's going. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't want to.
No. If you're still Mary
No,
Poppins.
my mind was going into this realm of like, there's kind of a middle ground where the virtue and the determination and the what is right, the character never learns it, never wavers from it, has to press through, but they also grow through that.
Mhm.
So it's this kind of weird hybrid. And
Yeah.
what made me think of it was your pulse rifle from Aliens.
Yes.
Ripley was absolutely correct and knew exactly what needed to happen, never wavered, brought the whole world
Mhm.
behind her to do it.
Yeah.
But she did grow. She learned to not be a victim and to become a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
But if you took that part out and if she had just
Yeah.
stayed in the dropship the whole time, On the radio, she still would have had the same effect of pulling the whole team through. So it's kind of this interesting hybrid.
Same thing in Aliens, except she learns to
I'm saying
become
Aliens.
a mom.
you're talking about, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I see what you're saying more broadly. Yeah, that makes
She
sense.
did grow, but what she started the movie with still ended the movie.
Yeah.
Like her determination they need to be
Right.
eradicated or what, I don't know.
And she did refuse the call. She was like, I'm not going back there. And then she has the nightmare and she's like, all right, I'm going.
True that.
Mhm.
Forgot about that.
But I want to have every Marine surrounding me. And
Yep.
then
yeah.
and then the only thing that drew her, like you were saying with the mom, the only thing that was like, I'm gonna go into the belly of the beast is because now she's, got this surrogate daughter. Like that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And then
Yeah.
they ruined it with Alien 3.
Oh,
Studio meddling.
Yeah.
Look, and then you had that. Did y'all see the treatment by that Duncan? No, who was the guy that made who made the Alien movie, and he was going to make a direct sequel to Aliens that was going to bring back everybody and like basically erase 3 and 4. And
No.
it was like this whole treatment. He had artwork and stuff, and it was going to be like had Newt and had Hicks, and yeah, it was going to be amazing. And the studio pulled the plug right at the last second.
Dude, that hurts.
That does hurt. The only other examples that I had here were Paddington and Paddington 2. I don't know if you guys have ever watched those.
I have not.
I've seen the first one.
Great movies, just unironically fantastic.
Yeah.
But Paddington doesn't really change because his function is more just innocence and like
Yeah.
he's contagious from a moral perspective.
Yeah.
So he always
Yeah.
changes those around him more.
Interesting.
And then the other one that I found, which is kind of more of an in between, like you were talking about, Into the Spider-Verse, I would say is one of these.
Okay.
It's more about Miles finding his identity and who he's supposed to be. But he does also grow,
Mm-hmm.
and he does also have hardships, like
Yeah.
his uncle's death and
Yeah, I don't know.
his
I wouldn't
dad
call
issues.
that. I wouldn't call that middle of the road. I'd call that
Really?
just true hero journey.
Okay, what would you say like his flaw was specifically, or his fatal flaw?
I don't remember it that well, but like in the sense of he needed to figure out really who he was and how to go, and then he got challenged by the real world bad boss, and he had to beat him. That just feels much more
Mhm.
true to
That's fair.
a traditional just hero's journey.
Yeah, I put him on the list because I couldn't drill down. Like, he wasn't selfish. He wasn't
Mhm.
like immature necessarily. He wasn't all the usual suspects that you
Yeah.
see with flaws.
Right.
He was just kind of, he didn't know who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's been a hot minute since I've seen it too. But
Okay,
Yeah.
here's an interesting thought.
Mhm.
The Goonies, but not the whole Goonies, but Mikey.
Yeah.
Mikey believes in this thing and he pulls the whole world with him. He never really changes. He's always like,
yeah,
Goonies never say die, and they get to the end and he's like, I always knew this, was here. But everyone else came along to believe.
Yeah.
And he didn't really change or really have any
Yep.
flaws other than his asthma.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm probably like, comments are like, you're splitting
Well,
hairs.
and you talk about like, the movie still works. It's got three act structure. It works. But you think about the movies that really like change you and inspire you. Like when I watch like Ford versus Ferrari, and the moment where Ken, have you guys seen that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Moment where Ken decides to slow down when he's been all about like, I've been put upon my entire life and like no one's listening to me and blah blah blah, and then he finally decides I'm gonna be a team player.
Mhm.
Like that is so impactful. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's why that movie resonates and sticks with you. And I don't learn anything from Goonies. I love the Goonies, but like it's movies like that just can completely stick with you. And it's such a missed opportunity for all of these, especially kids movies that are not morality tales where it's like, hey, let's help kids learn to be selfless and learn to sacrifice and learn to give them, like be humble and be, like be a servant.
Yeah.
Where, we're just saying, hey, look out for number one, get pissed off when people don't think you're awesome.
Yeah.
Like
If you have a problem, it's because they don't understand.
exactly.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about like someone should do write an article, or this would be perfect for an X post or something about like from the perspective of like the screw tape letters, where like screw tape is writing to Wormwood
Yeah.
like, here's how to change culture with these things called Disney movies.
Yeah, we need to update.
We'll make
update
them
it for the-
all selfish, and
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But back to the anti-heroes journey movies that work. I would say there's a couple things that cause it to succeed. So I'd say that, like, these are how you do it well. Is the main character can remain mostly unchanged when the following is true.
okay,
They have to embody a real virtue, not just like self-esteem.
okay,
So like Ted Lasso, he's really optimistic.
Yep.
Always friendly. The world around them has to have a real moral disorder.
Yeah.
You know, it can't just be failure to validate them, because if we go into a movie and the main character's like, the world is misunderstanding me, it's it that needs to change,
Mhm.
but we don't see a world that is just that has really any problems in
Right.
it.
yeah,
It's kind of like, does it though?
yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
really need to change. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, you got Mr. Smith goes to Washington.
Yeah.
Washington is corrupt, and Mr. Smith does not
Yes.
need to change in this movie.
Yes.
Well, I think what you both said about Mary Poppins rings true, and what you're saying now, like, she doesn't change. She's the moral mirror,
Mhm.
and the father changes. And why are we moved in that film? It's because the father goes and flies kites with his kids for
Mhm.
the first time. That's a real moral, critical family. Like, there's a lot of weight and a lot of
Mhm.
value and there's a lot riding on that, right? His
Mhm.
kids could end up totally screwed up if he's just
Mhm.
still the absent father. So I think that connects with what you're saying right now, in that, it's got to be real. It
Yeah.
can't just be
Yeah.
a pat on the back.
Yeah. And then the
Yeah.
main character has to pay a cost to staying true to what they believe.
Mm.
So Aaron Brockovich and Ted Lasso and all
Yeah.
those examples.
Mary Poppins had to leave.
Mary Poppins had to leave, yeah. And of course they face the temptation to compromise at some point.
Mhm.
And they don't, right?
Yeah, a lot of these characters, they go into a thing, and their maybe their flaw is naivety, right? Where they're
Yeah.
like, I'm going to go change the world, and then the world beats them back, and then it's like, am I going to stand back up, right? It's
Yeah.
like the Rocky quote, you get hit and you keep moving forward. It's like that. That's
Yeah, that's right. And then lastly, the end of it is not about everybody admiring them when they get back.
yes,
It's about everybody becoming better because of
them.
them.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's great.
That was really
Um,
good. That's Ted. That's Mary Poppins. That's all of those.
It's all
that
of
we
them.
mentioned.
All of them, man.
I think Eli needs to write a book.
I feel like I could write a book. I'm fired up about this.
It's called Not She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be a sheep.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
another 5 cents.
I know.
$5. Anyway,
Nice.
that's all I had.
Dude, it's good stuff, man. It's deep, and like, we've just scratched the surface on the movies just in prepping for sitting and talking. I mean,
Right.
there's so
Oh,
many more good
dude.
shows
Yeah.
and movies, and we'll probably do a follow-up.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know if you think Hexed, the new Disney entry into their animated filmography, will have the hero's journey or the anti-hero's journey.
Right.
Put it down in the
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah. Let us know too, like the movies we missed. We missed something important.
Yeah,
I know. There's gotta
totally.
be some good ones.
Yep.
Let us know if we're wrong about any of the anti-hero journey movies that work.
Especially let us know if Eli's wrong.
Yeah,
Yes.
specifically
Yeah, let us-
that
yeah.
one.
Eli. Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a good one. Like, subscribe, rate, review, all the things.
Flip the switches, press the buttons.
Yep. Until the next one. See y'all later.